ultimately it's up to you to choose to be meditative, consciously aware. It has been misled through the religions that something outside of you can create something inside of you, like peace. But this is something that you have to cultivate within yourself, because ultimately the way you move your body determines what state of consciousness that you're in. Ultimately, nobody can teach you what meditation is. You have to look within yourself and see what creates the non-meditative state, ultimately. Because meditation is usually pointed towards recognizing the breath, following the rhythm of your breathing, being aware of your sense perception, recognizing there's an inner aliveness within yourself. No one can really teach you to do that. People can only explain the process of kind of recognizing it for yourself, because ultimately you're always breathing at any given time, unless you're dead. Otherwise, then you wouldn't be seeing this. But the breathing is one of the most ancient practices for meditation. And ultimately, no one can really show you how to recognize your breathing, or recognize your sense perception, or sense the inner aliveness of your hands. You have to recognize that you can shift your attention from the thinking or from the mind to the body. It's like a body awareness and a breathing awareness as well, which is a part of the body. So body awareness ultimately points to all of that. But expecting someone to be able to teach you how to do it means that you're still looking outside of yourself for that deep, conscious, meditative state that doesn't really allow anger, resentment, anxiety, stress to arise. It still can. Stress and anxiety and everything still can come. But being consciously aware of your inner self, let's call it, you will choose to be aware or to follow these thoughts and emotions that create stress and anxiety and anger, frustration. So ultimately it's up to you to choose to be meditative, consciously aware. Cannot depend on anyone in this situation. It's God or whatever you want to look towards to create peace in your life. Ultimately, you are in charge of that. And it has been misled through the religions that something outside of you can create something inside of you, like peace. But this is something that you have to cultivate within yourself, reminding yourself probably continuously throughout your days and throughout your life to step out of the thinking, back into the rhythm of the breathing. So, just like we did there, there's a guide to it, but me or anyone else cannot do it for you. You have to ultimately be consciously aware of it, throughout your days. As you're doing the dishes, being consciously aware of your movement, because ultimately the way you move your body determines what state of consciousness that you're in. You may notice, observing people, that some people are very fast. They move very fast, they do everything fast, and at that point they're completely engulfed in the future outcome of whatever they're doing, which is a representation of not being meditative. It's being unconscious. It's being unaware that you can be meditative, even if you have to do something fast. I'm not always slow. There's times, but often I am, but there's times where I have to do something in a more of an urgent manner, and I do, but there's still that underlying conscious awareness behind what I'm doing. So I'm never really taken over by the doing, but I'm always aware of the being within myself. So practicing that with small things, picking something up, setting it on the table to a different spot. You can do it consciously, or you can do it unconsciously, where ultimately the mind is already looking for the outcome. So during situations or during things you're doing, small things around the house or at work or in the car or whatever you're doing, see if you can do it with some presence, some awareness. Set the cup down there. Take a few steps across the room. Notice that you're breathing. A lot of people forget that. That's why it's completely mind pull is so strong, because if you ask someone, do you know that you're breathing? At that moment, they'll become aware of their breathing, and they may say yes. But while they're doing things, they may not be aware of the breathing. This is not a meditative state. So keeping yourself in that meditative state relies on you being conscious of the pull of the mind and not allowing it to completely pull you along, because then you go into stress, anxiety, because say you're in that fast mode, then something goes wrong. This shouldn't be happening, is what happens. Which is the frustration or anger. Or doing something and wanting it to already be done. That's the anxiety. So recognizing that, you can sense it. You can sense it in the body. Recognizing it and choosing to want to sense it is another part there. But ultimately recognizing it, say for example it happens already, you notice you want to hurry up and get this done, recognize it. You may recognize it afterwards, but then the next thing that you're doing, because you're always doing something, you're always picking something up, you're always touching something, you're always doing something, you can be aware there. You can step out of that anxiety-filled state of consciousness to a more at ease, if you will, state of consciousness. Thank you.